G'day team, and welcome back to another episode of Adventure Ready here at Adelaide RV. And today's episode we're going to be talking all things suspensions. That's right, we're going to be looking at a few different tandem axle caravans to answer some questions around the benefits and features of upgrading your suspension. So follow me along as we start off at our little on-road model and work all the way up to our big off-road with independent suspension. Okay, so I'm down here in front of one of our Leader Explorers. Now, this particular range is our on-road model. Okay, so when I say on-road, we are designed for more bitumen, caravan parks, things like that. Okay, so again, the people that don't necessarily want to go out into the wilderness, they just really want to stick to, more built-up towns, coastal towns, and follow along on the caravan parks. The vans can go on good graded roads. So again, if it is a dirt road and it's a good graded road, that is fine. So let's say you need to go in, 10 kilometers in and 10 kilometers out to find a nice little spot and the road's been graded well, that is perfectly fine. The vans will handle that. So this particular one has been fitted with 15-inch all-terrain tires, okay? And it also has 10-inch brakes and 10-inch hub drums, all right? So that is on our standard model, on our on-road model. Now, as far as suspension, we are running a roller rocker suspension. Okay, so again, even our entry-level models, okay, with our roller rocker suspension is still an upgrade, on a lot of the vans of the past that just used to have a rocker suspension. A roller rocker, you'll see here, has this nice big elongated eye at one end of the spring. Now, what that enables it to do is enables the suspension to be able to have some form of movement in it. It's not as rigid, it's not as stiff. So if you're driving it down a gutter or something like that, it's going to be what we call a load sharing suspension. All right, so the roller rocker is what we're using here, and we are just a beam axle through. Okay, so a conventional roller rocker with beam axle, 10-inch hub drums, 10-inch brakes, rated to 3,200 kilos on 15-inch wheels. Okay, so next up I'm here in front of one of our Supreme Classic Tourers. Now the Supreme Classic Tourer is a semi-off-road caravan. Okay, this would be one of the most popular layouts that we sell here, or more popular models we sell here at Adelaide RV. Now the biggest difference in this is we have gone up to a 16-inch wheel, and we do give you the option of a 12-inch brake. Okay, so if you want to take your ATM up to 3.5 ton, or you want to really max out that payload, we can go up to a 3.5 ton on a 12-inch brake. This particular one here, as standard, is fitted still with a 10-inch brake. Biggest difference being we've gone up to a 16-inch wheel. Okay, so that is going to give us a little bit more ground clearance inside of the 16-inch tire. This particular one here, again, light truck tire, 265/75 16 in a all-terrain. So these are a Bob Jane T-Mart tire. These are a 6-stud Land Cruiser pattern, okay? So a little bit more strength. This is still on a rocker roller, or a roller rocker, however you want to say it, load sharing suspension. Okay, so same suspension. Again, this particular one is rated at 3.2 ton. We do have the option to go up to a 3.5 ton if you choose. This is for, again, corrugated roads, a little bit further off the beaten track. If you want to take this down the beach, again, we don't recommend too far or too off-road. Now, don't get me wrong, I know plenty of you guys out there have taken, your Classic Tourer with roller rocker suspension, with 16-inch rims and tires on some really remote places. And don't get me wrong, it will go there and it will do it. Okay, it's just not recommended. If you do want to go too far off the beaten track, we do recommend you go up to an independent suspension arm, although we know that this will do it. So again, the roller rocker is very similar again to an automotive leaf spring. It's just got a big elongated eye with a bush inside of it, which enables us to be able to go over terrain, small potholes, gutters, like I've said, and obviously share out the weight load between the front and rear axles. So again, 16-inch light truck tire here on our Classic Tourer range, and it is the same on our Gold LE range. All right, so up next, we're moving up to the first of our independent suspension options. Now at Supreme and Leader Caravans, we do prefer Cruisemaster, okay, as our preferred supplier of independent suspension arms. And on our dirt road model, which is a pack, which is available to add to any of our range, okay, so any of our classic tourer range, we can add the dirt road pack to it, and that is going to give you our CRS suspension. Now CRS stands for country road suspension. So for everyone that just watched the last rocker roller suspension and went, hey, we really shouldn't be taking that too off-road, again, maybe the option for you is to put a dirt road pack on your caravan. That is going to give you this particular CRS suspension by Cruisemaster. As you'll see, it's still a dual shock and coil suspension. It's just a little bit lighter, okay? It's a little bit more nimble, it's a little bit smaller. We can still get our ratings up to 3.5 ton. This particular one is only 3.2 because we are running the 10-inch brake. All right, so as a standard with the dirt road pack, we do run the 10-inch brake, 10-inch hub drum. It is again a Land Cruiser pattern, so that 6-stud Land Cruiser pattern. All 4 wheels are completely independent. So the beauty of that is no matter the terrain that you're going over, again, the right-hand side of the caravan is not obviously privy to what the left-hand side's doing and vice versa. Let's say, you know, heaven forbid, there's a truck coming down the middle of the road and you've got to drop off onto the dirt. Again, the independent suspension arm is going to continue to bounce along the dirt without being affected on the other side, which is obviously what happens when you have that beam axle. Whatever's happening on the right-hand side of the caravan will obviously affect the left-hand side of the caravan. But when all 4 wheels are completely independent, again, that is much more of a stable ride when you are off grid. Okay, so corrugations, this is going to handle it. You know, dirt roads, this is going to handle it. Down the beach, this is going to handle it. Not necessarily as extreme as its bigger brother, which we'll show you next in the Cruisemaster XT. But this CRS suspension has been exceptionally popular, you know, as that good intermediate independent suspension, and that is why we put it on all of our dirt road packages inside of Supreme and Leader Caravans. Okay, now we're up into our off-road range. So this particular caravan that I'm down in front of here is a Leader Expedition. That is our off-road family range. Again, we do run this same suspension in our Supreme Territory range as a standard. Now this is our Cruisemaster XT. This is the bigger brother of what I've just shown you in the country road suspension. So again, it is a dual shock and coil spring suspension. The arms are a much larger arm. This is designed to take a lot more corrugations, have a lot more impact and have a lot more travel, okay, as far as when we need to drop it down into a pothole, you know, or, you know, some uneven grounds and things like that. If you're going through some creek crossings, some river crossings, you know, and some really uneven surfaces, the XT is obviously going to allow a lot more travel height as far as what how the arms can obviously adjust. This particular one we run standard on 12-inch brakes. So again, as I've been explaining, the 12-inch brakes and hub drums to get that 3.5 ton rating, that has been an option on the past models. This is now standard on this particular model. We're still running the same Land Cruiser stud pattern, 6-stud pattern. We're still running the same tires, okay? So still a Bob Jane T-Mar all-terrain. Again, we are big believers that you do not need to go into a real heavy mud tire with this particular off-road product. Again, mud tires are much louder, you know, on the road as you're traveling around. And for most people with the off-road product, they're still spending, you know, at least 50 to 60% of the time on the bitumen. So we find by going with a really good, high quality all-terrain tire here by Bob Jane T-Mar, we can get the same effect. Again, they're a light truck tire, 265 here, 265 75 R16. Okay, we do also put a 50mm riser in. I should have mentioned that on the CRS, the last one we sampled, also comes with that 50mm riser. This particular Expedition range, again, 50mm riser, just to get that additional clearance. As you can see here, we've gone up, we have quite a lot of clearance now, you know, bringing the overall height of the caravan up quite considerably. But the XT suspension is an awesome independent suspension. It's been tried and tested by our friends at Cruisemaster and is one of the best going around. The only one up from here is our airbag suspension, which we'll show you some clips of next. Okay, so as I've just shown you in the Cruisemaster XT suspension, that one is going to suit obviously bigger caravans, taller caravans, vans that are spending more time, you know, off the beaten track, where you want, you know, that more travel in the independent suspension. Okay, but again, for those that are spending most of their time off-grid, you may look at going the XT Air suspension. Now again, with an airbag suspension, you're going to need to have an in-house compressor as well in that. Again, our airbag kits are the option 3, which is a full kit all done. Again, it will just have the controls on the outside of the van. I do not have one here in stock in the dealership. It is something that we custom order and custom design for our clients that are wanting to go more off-grid. Again, it is obviously a fairly pricey upgrade if you do decide to go to the Air, so do consider whether or not it is something that you need based on where you're going. But the Air suspension will give you up to 8 inches, okay, 8 inches of variance as far as your travel height is concerned. So for those people that are on, you know, some really rough terrain, going to some really remote places, the airbag suspension, you know, may be the option for you. And in the airbag suspension, the XT Air, we can go up to 4.5 ton. Okay, for those that are traveling around with your big American utes and to want to really have a larger caravan, but keep in mind we're going to have to upgrade to 4.5 ton chains, as well as that DO45 on the front of your van to ensure that the entire van can obviously handle that bigger weight rating. But the option is there when you do go XT Air. Alrighty folks, so that is a very quick little overview of the different types of suspensions that you can choose here at Adelaide RV when building your new Supreme or Leader caravan. It is important that I mention that Roadking Chassis do build the exact same frame each and every time. So the actual chassis, the RHS chassis, the A-frame, again, the thickness of this Australian steel that we're using to build the chassis is all rated to the highest rating of 4.5 tons. So we build the exact same frame each and every time, and then obviously depending on what suspension we go with and what model we go with, obviously we bolt the suspension to that subframe again. So Roadking chassis are one of the strongest chassis inside of Australia, building with all Australian componentries, and again, Roadking chassis is a part of Supreme and Leader caravan, so you can rest assured that everything is going to be perfect whenever you come to pick your new caravan up. But again guys, just in closing, we always get so many questions around what should I be choosing, and I always say it comes down to you guys. I can go into so much more detail, but I'm trying to keep this particular video short and sweet so you can just get the information that you need to make the decision that is right for you. It all comes down to where you want to go, where you want to travel, how you want to travel, and again, the weight that you can pull behind your tow vehicle. But at Adelaide RV, it is our goal to get you out on Australian roads, to get you traveling your way, to get you traveling to the places that you want to see with your family. So come on down and chat to the team here at Adelaide RV today, and we can have a run through all of the products here, have a touch, have a feel, and see what is right for you.